The FBI has apprehended a Wisconsin judge for obstructing ICE agents, with Kash Patel and Trump's Attorney General indicating that this arrest is merely the start. The Trump Department of Justice has instructed ICE to enter homes without obtaining. The FBI has apprehended a Wisconsin judge for obstructing ICE agents, with Kash Patel and Trump's Attorney General indicating that this arrest is merely the start. The Trump Department of Justice has instructed ICE to enter homes without obtaining search warrants. Furthermore, Venezuelans facing removal under wartime regulations have a 12-hour window to challenge their situation. In another development, a judge in New Mexico and his wife have been arrested for allegedly concealing a Venezuelan gang member in their residence. North Korean cyber operatives established fake U.S. companies to deceive cryptocurrency developers. A suspect linked to the Scattered Spider hacking group has been extradited from Spain to the United States. Iran claims it successfully repelled a significant cyber attack targeting the nation.
The Trump administration has initiated an investigation into UC Berkeley regarding foreign funding. The Wall Street Journal reports that a group of elite universities has formed a private collective to oppose the Trump administration's actions. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia has accused Wikipedia of spreading propaganda and has issued a threat to the nonprofit organization's status. In another development, a federal prosecutor in the United States is questioning medical journals about potential bias. Goldman Sachs warns that U.S. tariffs might put 16 million export jobs in China at risk. According to Reuters, a report indicates that imposing tariffs on U.S. pharmaceuticals could lead to an annual increase of $51 billion in drug costs for Americans. Trump asserts that he is in trade negotiations with China, a claim that China disputes. Google's AI overviews have expanded their reach to over 1.5 billion individuals each month. Google has introduced a new AI model designed to interpret dolphin language. Baidu's founder has noted a decrease in the demand for DeepSeek's text-based AI solutions. California is considering permitting the testing of autonomous heavy-duty trucks. Chinese media criticizes Trump for making untrue claims about ocean pollution. A U.S. agency has relaxed certain safety regulations for self-driving vehicles, causing Tesla's stock to rise significantly. The World Liberty, supported by Trump, and the Pakistan Crypto Council have joined forces to enhance blockchain and decentralized finance. A letter penned by a Titanic survivor while on the ship has been sold for almost $400,000. Steven Spielberg, Robert De Niro, and Morgan Freeman have expressed their admiration for Francis Ford Coppola as he receives the AFI Life Achievement Award.
A recent report indicates that military spending in East Asia has experienced its largest increase in the past 15 years. A government report has disclosed that the United States nuclear arsenal is projected to cost $946 billion over the next decade. Furthermore, U.S. analysts have expressed concerns that a Russian satellite associated with a nuclear weapon program seems to be out of control.
Trump asserts that American vessels should be permitted to navigate the Panama and Suez Canals without incurring any fees. China has issued a warning to the United States, claiming that its deep-sea mining initiative contravenes international legal standards. Japan has initiated discussions with the United States regarding a one-theater strategy for the Indo-Pacific region, suggesting a unified approach to addressing security concerns in the Korean Peninsula, as well as the East and South China Seas.
Zimbabwe aims to achieve electrification for 3.1 million households and provide access to clean cooking for 70% of its population by the year 2030. In the Philippines, the Bulusan volcano has erupted, sending ash into the sky at a height of 4.5 kilometers. A flood has occurred in the river Jhelum following an unexpected release of water by India, which has led to panic in the region of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
A significant explosion at an Iranian port, associated with a missile fuel delivery, resulted in the deaths of 14 individuals and left 750 people injured. In a separate development, the United States reported hitting 800 targets belonging to the Houthi group following several weeks of military actions. The Houthi rebels claimed that a purported U.S. airstrike targeted a prison in Yemen, where African migrants were held, resulting in the deaths of 68 people. Volunteer organizations reported that 31 civilians were killed by paramilitary forces in Omdurman, Sudan.
A health advisor from the White House has expressed concerns that weight loss medications, are being aggressively marketed to children in the United States. In the realm of entertainment, appraisals suggest that populist leaders are gaining support. Neuroscientists have discovered that children's brains operate in distinct ways when they are reading books compared to engaging with screens.
A Russian military helicopter reportedly entered Polish airspace to test air defenses, according to Poland. The CIA has announced that the son of one of its officials was killed while engaged in combat in Ukraine. The Institute for the Study of War, ISW, reports that Russia is planning to use motorbikes in its summer offensive to counter drone threats.
A recent report indicates that approximately half of the American population continues to reside in areas with elevated levels of air pollution, which presents significant health dangers. A study has revealed that the consumption of ultra-processed foods in the United States is linked to 124,000 premature deaths over a 2-year period. Furthermore, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, in the U.S. is on the verge of revoking grants that were intended to safeguard children from exposure to toxic chemicals.
Researchers have successfully constructed the first ever black hole bomb in a laboratory setting. Scientists have engineered an artificial leaf capable of utilizing sunlight to generate valuable chemicals. Furthermore, researchers have achieved the milestone of growing teeth in a lab environment.
The United States and China are engaged in discussions regarding
Google's browser division informed a judge that only Google is authorized to operate Chrome. China is developing a space traffic management system in response to the growing number of commercial satellites.
According to Reuters, TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is considering establishing a data center project in Brazil, as indicated by sources. Tencent Music is reportedly in negotiations to acquire Ximalaya for a sum of $2.4 billion. Furthermore, Elon Musk's company, XAI Holdings, is in talks to secure $20 billion in funding. This comes a month after Musk combined XAI and X to form XAI Holdings. Trump's associates have responded strongly to Politico's article suggesting that the White House is considering removing sanctions on Russian energy assets, specifically Nord Stream. For days prior, Politico published a report indicating that the White House is in discussions about potentially lifting these sanctions. China and the Philippines are displaying their flags on a contested sandbank in the South China Sea, while Philippine forces have landed on a disputed feature in the area. The Philippines claims that China has not taken control of the contested reef. In another development, Pakistani military forces have killed 54 militants who were trying to enter Pakistan from Afghanistan.
Rubio asserts that the sole resolution to the conflict in Ukraine lies in negotiations where both parties are willing to make concessions. Russia declares the full liberation of Kursk, acknowledges receiving assistance from North Korea, and North Korea verifies sending troops to Russia, praising them as heroes. Trump suggests that Putin might not be interested in peace and could require a different approach to be dealt with. The White House has announced that President Trump is set to sign an executive order providing partial relief from auto tariffs. According to the South China Morning Post, Walmart has instructed certain Chinese suppliers to begin shipping products again, as reported by sources. A Reuters poll indicates that South Korea's exports are expected to decline due to the impact of Trump's tariffs.
Researchers have unearthed the most ancient ant fossil ever found, a 113-million-year-old hell ant that was encased in rock in Brazil. A novel theory in quantum optics suggests that classical interference is a result of the interaction between bright and dark states of light. Furthermore, a Soviet Venus lander that was unsuccessful in its mission is expected to re-enter Earth's atmosphere after being left in space for 53 years.
Israeli intelligence chief Ronan Bar resigns shortly after Prime Minister Netanyahu instructed for his dismissal. The United States imposes sanctions on a Chinese and Iranian network that provides missile propellant materials to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Pakistan intercepts an Indian drone following a nuclear warning, with Reuters reporting that Pakistan's defense minister warns of an impending military incursion by India.
China is working on an underwater Beidou network, aimed at enhancing navigation and tracking capabilities. A year ago, it was announced that China would construct a next-generation Beidou system, with plans to conduct test satellite launches in 2027 and complete the system by 2035. Taiwan has established a platform to coordinate responses to disruptions in undersea cables. Somalia has prohibited Taiwan passport holders from entering the country, referencing the One China policy.
HSBC announces a $3 billion stock repurchase following a first-quarter profit that exceeded expectations. UBS reports a first-quarter profit that surpassed forecasts, although the impact of Trump's tariffs raises concerns about the future outlook. In April, China's factory activity fell to a level not seen in nearly 2 years due to the effects of trade tariffs. The Wall Street Journal discusses the growing distance between Sam Altman and Satya Nadella, who were instrumental in sparking the contemporary AI revolution. Mark Zuckerberg declares that the era of social media is coming to an end. Starbucks is enhancing its store workforce by hiring more baristas and reducing its reliance on machines as part of its ongoing revitalization efforts. A Google report indicates a slight decrease in zero-day exploitation compared to the previous year. France has accused Russian intelligence of conducting numerous cyber attacks since 2021. Cloudflare has reported that in the first quarter of 2025, it successfully blocked 20.5 million DDoS attacks, marking a significant rise of 358% year-over-year and 198% quarter-over-quarter.
IBM plans to allocate $150 billion to the United States over the next 5 years to support its advancements in quantum technology. TMC has filed an application to engage in deep-sea mining activities, adhering to U.S. legal regulations. Israel is proposing a trade concession to the United States in an attempt to mitigate the impact of potential tariffs.
In the United States, a bill aimed at combating revenge porn, supported by Melania Trump, is now on its way to the president's desk following a resounding vote in the House of Representatives. Lawmakers in New York have reached a consensus on a plan to implement a bell-to-bell ban on cell phones in schools, echoing a similar decision made by Finland, which has also prohibited smartphones in educational institutions. U.S. Democrats have penned a letter to the Federal Trade Commission, urging it to address the risks associated with the misuse of neural data. This concern arises as senators have raised alarms about neurotechnology companies selling
participate in Prime Day because of tariffs, as Amazon allegedly urges suppliers to reduce prices to mitigate the impact of Trump's tariffs. However, Amazon has refuted any plan to adjust pricing due to tariffs, following the White House's description of such actions as hostile and political. Despite this, President Trump has commended Amazon's CEO, Jeff Bezos, after Amazon denied plans to highlight the costs of tariffs. Walmart has stated it will not disclose. NPR has disclosed that employees of Doge have obtained access to secure networks containing sensitive nuclear information. San Francisco and Santa Clara are taking legal action against Trump due to the Doge-influenced dismissals of federal employees. Furthermore, top Democrats claim that Trump's administration has caused disruptions affecting approximately $430 billion in federal funding.
A Senate report indicates that Elon Musk's involvement with Dogecoin presents conflicts of interest valued at $2.37 billion. Reductions in Doge prices could potentially allow Musk's companies to sidestep $2 billion in liabilities. The New York Post mentions that Musk has ceased working from the White House, with communications now conducted via phone. The Paramount Board has opened a potential avenue for resolving Trump's lawsuit against 60 Minutes. In another development, Senator Hawley has reintroduced the Pelosi Act, aiming to prohibit Congress members from engaging in stock trading.
China's military is swiftly increasing its deployment of affordable AI-driven drones, in a strategic and gradual advancement. In 2024, global military expenditures reached an unprecedented $2.7 trillion, marking the most significant increase since the Cold War era. India has finalized a $7.4 billion agreement with France for the acquisition of Rafale fighter jets. An official has announced that Donald Trump will be signing an order that necessitates the compilation of a list of sanctuary cities and states. Trump has made a promise to establish a new legal team to support police officers. Furthermore, An executive order is expected to be signed by Trump, which will require truckers to be proficient in English. In the United States, far-right combat groups have shown their support for youth clubs that are specifically aimed at engaging young men and boys across the country.
Putin announces a 3-day ceasefire in Ukraine, coinciding with the 80th anniversary of World War II. However, Trump's former Ukraine envoy, Kellogg, dismisses Putin's suggestion of a 3-day truce as nonsensical. South Korea reports that approximately 600 North Korean soldiers have died in Russia's conflict with Ukraine, with a total of around 4,700 North Korean soldiers either killed or injured while fighting for Russia. Witkoff notes that Putin perceives a rare opportunity, the first time in decades, to potentially reshape relations.
The Karnataka High Court in India has instructed the union government to implement measures to block access to Proton Mail within the country. A data breach at Marks & Spencer has been associated with the Scattered Spider ransomware attack. Furthermore, software designed for the Uyghur language has been compromised to distribute malware.
Hugging Face has introduced the So-101, a robotic arm that can be constructed using 3D printing technology at a cost of only $100. PayPal is set to introduce programmatic advertisements that utilize shopping data to enhance targeting. Furthermore, artificial intelligence has contributed to uncovering a potential cause of Alzheimer's disease and has identified a promising therapeutic option. A new series titled Wisteria Lane, a spin-off from Desperate Housewives, is being developed by Onyx with Kerry Washington and Natalie Chaidez involved. Brad Pitt is set to star in A24's adaptation of The Writers, directed by Edward Berger, known for Conclave. A review by the BBC on bullying has concluded that there is no evidence of a toxic culture, although it acknowledges that the actions of a few individuals have an outsized impact on the organization's reputation and morale.
Jack Black's brief 34-second anthem titled Steve's Lava Chicken, inspired by the popular game Minecraft, has achieved the remarkable feat of becoming the shortest song to make its way into the Hot 100 chart. Kanye West has made headlines by releasing a previously lost album, Donda 2, on various streaming platforms. In a separate incident, a man who found himself stranded on Mount Fuji was airlifted to safety, only to be rescued once more a few days later when he returned to retrieve his phone.
Hegseth takes pride in terminating a program focused on women and security that was signed into law by Trump. In the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is set to cancel nearly 800 grants aimed at environmental justice, as disclosed in a court filing. Harvard University is committing to reforms after internal reports highlighted issues of anti-Semitism and anti-Arab bias. The university's president has expressed regret following these reports, which also include allegations of Islamophobia and a Trump administration investigation into the Harvard Law Review for potential race-based discrimination. Harvard is restructuring its Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion (DEI) office in response to pressure from the Trump administration.
The FBI and other national security agencies are employing polygraph tests in their efforts to identify individuals responsible for information leaks. Members of Trump's staff have displayed mugshots of immigrants on the White House lawn. Furthermore, Axios has published a report indicating that a majority of Americans perceive Trump as a dangerous dictator, according to a recent poll.
Hawaii is considering raising the hotel tax to address the challenges posed by climate change. In South Africa, significant fires are raging on the slopes of the renowned Table Mountain. Trump has decided to relax the reporting requirements for accidents involving self-driving cars, which is seen as a favor to Musk. Toyota and Waymo have reached a consensus on a framework for a strategic partnership aimed at speeding up the adoption of autonomous driving technology. The major automotive company Stellantis has decided to pause its full-year financial guidance, citing concerns related to the uncertainties surrounding tariffs imposed by former President Trump. Volkswagen has reported a significant decline of 37% in its profit for the first quarter, indicating that the potential impact of Trump tariffs could further affect its future financial outlook. The Asian American Foundation revealed that the general American public perceives no rise in prejudice against Asian Americans, a sentiment that is contradicted by Asian Americans themselves. Rwanda has expressed a positive response to Donald Trump's request to accept non-citizen deportees, as the Trump administration considers relocating migrants to both Libya and Rwanda, according to sources. German intelligence has classified the Alternative for Germany, AfD, as a right-wing extremist endeavor.
Gina Rinehart, the wealthiest individual in Australia, expresses her desire for reforms similar to those implemented by Donald Trump as the country approaches its election. A deal involving a Trump golf course has been revealed in Qatar, coinciding with the upcoming visit of the United States president. Furthermore, an Abu Dhabi-based company plans to invest $2 billion in Binance, utilizing Trump's cryptocurrency venture.
SCMP provides commentary as it becomes apparent that a more powerful China is observing to determine which of Trump's advisors will gain the upper hand regarding tariffs, according to sources. Trump suggests that American children might receive only $2 instead of 30, yet he insists that China will endure greater hardships in a trade conflict. He calls for patience and attributes the weak economic news to Biden. Japanese lawmakers caution that U.S. tariffs pose a threat to security, not merely economic relations, as China's influence grows. Japan indicates that its $1 trillion investment in U.S. treasuries could serve as leverage in trade discussions, while the Bank of Japan plans to maintain interest rates and reduce growth forecasts.
The United States and Ukraine have reached a highly anticipated agreement on minerals to aid in the reconstruction of Kyiv and to help repay the assistance provided. Former President Trump is set to propose Mike Waltz, his current national security advisor, for the position of UN ambassador, following Waltz's anticipated exit from the administration. Waltz was observed using a modified version of the Signal app during a cabinet meeting. In the U.S., the Treasury Department has imposed sanctions on the CJNG, a significant Mexican cartel, due to its involvement in fentanyl trafficking and fuel theft.
Apple has faced criticism for breaching App Store regulations in the Fortnite case, with plans to appeal after a court determined that the company and an executive provided false testimony during the Epic Games trial. In response to a recent ruling, Epic Games is introducing web shops to enable developers to bypass App Store fees, aiming at Apple with a zero-commission strategy and an App Store alternative. Patreon intends to modify its iPhone app to avoid using Apple's payment system. Fortnite is set to return to the U.S. iOS App Store following a court decision that Apple intentionally disregarded a court order in the Epic Games lawsuit.
Sundar Pichai has expressed that the demands from the Department of Justice are essentially equivalent to a forced separation of Google's search function. According to Reuters, Adani has temporarily halted discussions with Israel's Tower regarding a $10 billion investment in India's chip industry, as indicated by sources. Mark Andreessen has stated that the role of a venture capitalist is largely secure from being replaced by artificial intelligence.
Economists argue that generative AI is not significantly impacting wages, displacing workers, or reducing time spent on tasks. Meta's capital expenditure is experiencing inflation, driven by Mark Zuckerberg's enthusiasm for AI and the influence of Trump-era tariffs, leading to infrastructure spending that could reach up to $72 billion. Google is investing in training electricians as the demand for power increases due to AI advancements.
Visa Intelligent Commerce is leveraging AI to enhance the shopping experience by partnering with companies like Anthropic, IBM, Microsoft, Mistral AI, OpenAI, Perplexity, Samsung, Stripe, and others. This collaboration aims to develop AI-ready cards, offer AI-powered personalization, and facilitate simple and secure AI payments. Google is integrating Places ads into chatbot conversations with AI startups. Mark Zuckerberg is considering introducing a premium tier and ads for Meta's AI application.
Multiplayer maps for Assassin's Creed Shadows have been found within the game's files. Mark Zuckerberg reassures people not to be concerned about the loneliness epidemic, suggesting that he can replicate all their friends using artificial intelligence. VML, Lab-Grown Leather Limited, and the Organoid Company have teamed up to develop the world's first T-Rex leather. The Trump administration has published a comprehensive 400-page evaluation of gender dysphoria treatment options for young individuals, though it has not disclosed the authorship. The Football Association in England is planning to prohibit transgender women from participating in women's football. Furthermore, It has been observed that human wounds heal at a significantly slower rate compared to those of other mammals.
General Motors has reduced its financial outlook, anticipating a potential impact of up to $5 billion due to tariffs. McDonald's has experienced a surprising decrease in store visits, with customers expressing growing concerns about the economic situation, resulting in the company's first drop in U.S. comparable sales since 2020. Apple is preparing for a $900 million tariff impact as it transitions its U.S. iPhone production from China to India, with plans to have most of its devices shipped into the U.S. from India.
China is considering American suggestions to reduce the ongoing tariff conflict. The Wall Street Journal provides commentary on how the trade war highlights China's reliance on the United States for automotive chips. The United States is contemplating relaxing restrictions on NVIDIA chips for the United Arab Emirates, coinciding with former President Trump's planned visit.
Doge claims to have achieved savings of $160 billion. However, an analysis indicates that these savings have resulted in a cost of $135 billion to taxpayers. The Senate has approved a bill aimed at repealing a Biden-era regulation concerning energy standards for appliances. Furthermore, the Pentagon plans to incorporate right-to-repair provisions into Army contracts. Tether reported that its exposure to the U.S. Treasury reached nearly $120 billion during the first quarter of the year, while also announcing a profit of $1 billion. Ripple has made an offer to acquire Circle, a competitor in the stablecoin market, for a sum of up to $5 billion. Furthermore, Visa and Stripe's partner Bridge is collaborating to enhance the functionality of stablecoin-based debit and credit cards.
President Trump has issued an executive order that instructs the reduction of federal financial support for both PBS and NPR. The White House has introduced a new website, modeled after Drudge Report, aimed at promoting President Trump. U.S. prosecutors have brought charges against major insurance companies, alleging that they engaged in the payment of kickbacks to secure private Medicare plans.
SAG-AFTRA has established an influencer committee as it continues to expand its presence in the creator economy. According to Axios, the number of digital creator jobs has increased by a factor of 7.5 since the pandemic began. TikTok has surpassed Twitch to become the second most viewed streaming platform online, with creators reportedly earning $10 million daily.
Agatha Christie's legacy is brought to life through an AI-enhanced writing course offered by the BBC Maestro. Wikipedia plans to incorporate AI technology, though it will not substitute the efforts of human volunteers. Norway's oil fund aims to achieve $400 million in trading cost savings by leveraging AI.
The GOP allegedly pressured a billboard company to take down advertisements by Democrats highlighting Medicaid reductions, raising concerns about free speech. Variety reported on Trump's inaccurate assertion that 60 Minutes confessed to altering Harris's interview in a deceptive manner. The Wall Street Journal mentioned that Paramount executives considered resolving Trump's lawsuit with a settlement of up to $20 million. In another development, Walls suggested that Harris chose him as her vice presidential running mate to communicate effectively with white men. UK Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy has stated that there will be no imposition of a levy on streaming services. According to Reuters, TikTok has confirmed its intention to construct a data center valued at €1 billion in Finland. LinkedIn is sharing its advertising revenue with creators as part of its strategy to enhance video content.
RFK Jr. has requested the CDC to provide updated guidance on measles treatment, despite his baseless assertions. The Washington Post has highlighted that RFK Jr. intends to mandate placebo testing for new vaccines, which has raised concerns among health experts. Nature magazine informs that the NIH and the U.S. plans to terminate billions of dollars in foreign research grants. The Wall Street Journal reports that RFK Jr. is investing $500 million in universal vaccines, marking a shift from his previous focus on COVID-19 funding.
China's military has disclosed specific information about the Type 094 nuclear submarine for the first time. Tensions between Japan and China have escalated as both nations accuse each other of infringing on airspace near the contested East China Sea islands. This conflict has intensified following an incident where ultranationalists reportedly flew a plane over the Diaoyu Islands. DeepSeek's AI model is reportedly being utilized to develop new Chinese warplanes, according to a leading engineer.
More than 18 million high school graduates in the Philippines lack the basic reading and writing skills necessary for daily life. In a move to advance its educational sector, the United Arab Emirates has introduced artificial intelligence technology for schoolchildren. In California, Democratic lawmakers have voted against a proposal to impose stricter penalties for individuals who solicit sexual services from teenagers who are 17 years old or older.
Ireland has imposed a fine of €530 million on TikTok for transferring data of EU users to China. Facebook was reportedly caught when teenage girls removed their selfies, which the platform used to target them with beauty advertisements. The messaging app, a clone of Signal, which was utilized by the Trump administration, has been hacked.
A report by Waymo indicates that robot access are already contributing to enhanced road safety. Uber has entered into an agreement with Momenta to introduce a robotaxi service in Europe by the following year. Furthermore, it has been reported that a Waymo robotaxi was stopped by the police in Tokyo. A large gathering of Islamists in Bangladesh is protesting against suggested amendments to women's rights laws. Turkish President Erdogan has assured demonstrators in northern Cyprus, who are opposing the perceived Islamification of the region, that their efforts will be unsuccessful. Earlier, Turkish Cypriots had taken to the streets to express their discontent over Turkey's alleged integration of Islamic elements into the education system, particularly the new regulation permitting the hijab in schools, coinciding with Erdogan's visit. Israeli officials have announced a new strategy aimed at taking control of the entire Gaza Strip.
Trump reiterates his stance that the government will take away Harvard's tax exempt status. Frank Bisignano, who identifies as a Doge person, has his confirmation hearing scheduled to head Social Security. The South China Morning Post, SCMP, shares that Goldman Sachs predicts the Federal Reserve might reduce interest rates by 0.75 of a percentage point due to the ongoing tariff conflict.
China's innovative 2D chip technology is on the verge of being utilized in the production of chips.
The London Marathon has received an unprecedented number of 1.1 million applications for the 2026 event. In a separate development, Nicaragua has decided to withdraw from UNESCO following the recognition of an exiled newspaper with an award. Firefighters at the Vatican have been busy installing a chimney on the roof of the Sistine Chapel in preparation for the upcoming papal election.
Australia's centre-left Labour Party continues to hold power following an election that was viewed as a gauge of public sentiment against Trump. Australia's Prime Minister Albanese engaged in a warm conversation with Trump regarding the AUKUS agreement and tariffs. In Portugal, the government has declared the expulsion of 18,000 foreigners in anticipation of an upcoming national election. Singapore's People's Action Party (PAP) has extended its 66-year dominance over the government, securing another landslide victory in the election, which serves as a boost for the new prime minister.
Trump has expressed his willingness to engage in discussions with any CEO who intends to increase prices as a result of tariffs. He mentioned that he would consider extending the deadline for the TikTok ban beyond June 19. Furthermore, Temu has announced that it will cease selling products directly from China to U.S. customers, stating that it will now only ship from the U.S. However, this does not imply that the products are manufactured in the United States.
The UK is getting ready to prohibit individuals from purchasing cryptocurrency using borrowed money. In the United States, the average income required to buy a median-priced home has reached 6 figures. Brazil's Social Security minister has resigned following an investigation into pension fraud.
Apple and Anthropic have joined forces to develop an AI-driven platform known as vibe coding. Meanwhile, Eric Schmidt has reportedly acquired Relativity Space with the intention of establishing data centers in space. Google plans to allow children to utilize its Gemini AI technology.
Astronomers have found a massive, luminous molecular cloud concealed in the vicinity of Earth's cosmic surroundings. Scientists have made the discovery that magnetar starquakes might be capable of creating gold in the vastness of space. Furthermore, evidence supporting the existence of the debated Planet 9 has been identified in sky surveys conducted over a span of 23 years. By the year 2027, all newly constructed homes in England will be equipped with solar panels. In a recent weather modification experiment conducted by China, a small amount of cloud seed was used to generate an impressive 30 swimming pools worth of rain. A study has revealed that satellites that are nearing the end of their operational life can contribute to climate change and the depletion of the ozone layer. Warren Buffett, who is 94 years old, is resigning from his position as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. Google is willing to consider sharing real-time bidding information with its competitors, although it opposes the idea of being broken up. In China, the number of coffee shops has increased by 12,000, reflecting a growing demand among the general population, which is impacting Starbucks negatively.
Mexico's president has stated that she declined Trump's proposal to deploy U.S. troops across the border. Trump has acknowledged making this offer to Mexico, but he claims that Sheinbaum is so terrified of the cartels that she can't even walk. Trump mentioned that he doesn't rule out the possibility of using military force to manage Greenland, although he noted that it is highly unlikely for the U.S. to deploy military forces to make Canada the 51st state. Furthermore, Trump has declared that he will only agree to the complete dismantling of Iran's nuclear program.
Archaeologists examined the dimensions of 50,000 ancient dwellings to gain insights into the historical development of inequality, discovering that it is not an unavoidable outcome. Genomic analysis reveals that all roses, whether red, pink, or white, originally were yellow. A biotechnology company has developed a weight loss pill designed to replicate the effects of gastric bypass surgery. The CIA and other intelligence agencies are expected to reduce their staff as part of a plan by the Trump administration, which includes a proposed $163 billion reduction in the U.S. budget, significantly cutting domestic spending. China's offshore yuan has reached a 6-month high, with anticipation of a reversal of what are considered egregious tariffs. Trump has faced criticism for using an AI-generated image of himself as the Pope in the lead-up to the papal conclave.
In a Syrian town plagued by violence, the Druze community has reached an agreement to disarm their militias, emphasizing their unity with the phrase, "We're all in one ship." Meanwhile, Israeli cabinet ministers are set to deliberate on the possibility of intensifying the conflict in Gaza, as Israel mobilizes tens of thousands of reservists to broaden the military operations there. A Pope mobile in the West Bank is being repurposed into a mobile clinic to provide medical care for children injured in Gaza.
President Trump discusses potential future leaders, including Rubio and Vance. Trump expresses uncertainty about whether he is required to adhere to constitutional due process. Elon Musk claims he and Trump agree on most issues, approximately 80% of the time. A man who voluntarily injected himself with snake venom for a period of 18 years has contributed to the development of a significant new antivenom. Research has shown that the brain plays a crucial role in sensing the body's metabolic state, which in turn influences the circulation of monocytes. Furthermore, in the United States, the Food and Drug Administration has recently given its approval for the first CRISPR-edited pigs intended for human consumption. Disney created its Walt Disney robot to serve as a reminder to fans that he was a real person. Trump has imposed a 100% movies produced abroad in an effort to revive the struggling Hollywood industry, with Australia and New Zealand expressing their support for the film sector following Trump's tariff proposal. A report indicates that California, which was once a hub for animation work, is quickly losing its position in the industry.
The Rolling Stones have expressed concerns about individuals losing loved ones due to spiritual fantasies fueled by artificial intelligence. Instagram's co-founder has cautioned that AI chatbots are primarily focused on increasing engagement rather than providing genuine utility. Furthermore, numerous YouTube channels are displaying AI-generated content that features cartoon gore and fetish themes.
The United Nations and various aid organizations have criticized a proposal by Israel and the United States regarding the delivery of aid to Gaza. This plan involves Israel overseeing the distribution of aid within Gaza and employing contractors from the United States for the task. In a separate development, law enforcement in the United Kingdom has detained 7 individuals from Iran as part of ongoing counter-terrorism investigations. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested reopening the Alcatraz prison to accommodate what he describes as the most ruthless and violent offenders.
Putin expresses his hope that nuclear weapons will not be necessary in Ukraine, while also asserting that Russia possesses the strength and means to conclude the conflict there. Trump indicates that he might walk away from the Russia-Ukraine negotiations, pointing to tremendous hatred existing on both sides. The BBC reports on the staggering losses Russia suffered in Ukraine in 2024, noting a rate of 27 lives per kilometer. Google has the capability to train its search AI using web content even after users have opted out. Advertisers are considering reductions in their TV advertising budgets due to increasing economic concerns. In contrast, Amazon's advertising business experienced a 19% growth in the first quarter, surpassing the expectations of analysts. In the United Kingdom, the Co-op has issued an apology following a cyber attack by the Dragonforce hacking group, which resulted in the theft of personal information from 20 million of its customers. Hackers have been exploiting a feature of IPv6 networking to take control of software updates. In the United States, a Yemeni man has been indicted in federal court on charges of distributing the Black Kingdom malware, which was used to extort money from businesses, schools, and medical clinics by infecting approximately 1,500 computer systems across the United States and other countries.
Apple plans to procure billions worth of chips manufactured in the U.S. as part of a supply chain transformation. Beijing considers proposing a fentanyl deal to the U.S. to initiate trade discussions. Federal authorities initiate investigation into UC Berkeley for concealing millions in financial support from China and other nations. The Washington Examiner highlights that CCP officials and Chinese state organizations contributed substantial donations to UC Berkeley, report. Pence describes the unsuccessful January 6 attack as a victory for freedom while accepting the JFK Profile and Courage Award. A book reveals that Biden's aides opted not to conduct a cognitive test in early 2024. A former Bush housing official alleges that the government has allocated $21 trillion to construct an underground doomsday base.
Rubio and the German Foreign Ministry engage in a heated exchange on X, with Rubio accusing Germany of tyranny in disguise while Germany defends its classification of the AfD as an extremist group. In the UK, Starmer is strategizing to adopt a stricter stance on migration to address the challenge posed by Farage. Exit polls indicate that a far-right supporter of Trump has advanced to the second round of Romania's presidential election rerun.
In the United Kingdom, there is a proposal to prohibit local councils from displaying flags that are considered politically progressive or woke. In Germany, Friedrich Merz has assumed the role of chancellor following a significant loss in the initial voting round. Cardinal Erdo from Hungary is gaining popularity among conservative circles as a potential candidate for the position of pope.
A recent study has discovered that cinnamon could potentially impact the effectiveness of certain prescription medications. Chronic pain sufferers might find relief by acquiring the skill to manage negative emotions. Furthermore, a psychologist suggests that a significant portion of the British population is now identifying as neurodivergent.
The United States has imposed sanctions on a Myanmar warlord and a militia associated with cyber scams. In Peru's northern region, gold mining activities have been halted following the tragic deaths of 13 miners. The International Court of Justice (ICJ) has declared that it lacks jurisdiction in a genocide case brought against the United Arab Emirates, UAE. This development comes a month after Sudan accused the UAE of providing support and complicity in genocide at the World Court.
U.S. crude oil prices have reached their lowest point since 2021 following OPEC+'s decision to increase production in June. The European Union is considering imposing tariffs on €100 billion worth of U.S. goods if negotiations do not succeed. China has criticized the United States for the serious negative impact of the tariffs imposed by former President Trump as trade discussions are about to commence.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has instructed a reduction of 20% in the number of top military leadership roles. Former President Trump announced that a truce has been established with the Houthis, who have agreed to cease targeting ships. The Wall Street Journal has reported that the United States has instructed its intelligence agencies to intensify their surveillance activities in Greenland.
A recent poll indicates that the majority of Americans rely on federal science information on a weekly basis, as reported by NPR. Trump is considering the elimination of the long-standing Energy Star efficiency program. Europe has committed to investing €500 million to attract scientists, contrasting with Trump's ongoing conflicts with universities.
In the United States, authorities have apprehended and charged 764 individuals who were involved in running a worldwide child exploitation operation. The Federal Trade Commission, FTC, has reported that Instagram's recommendation system has been suggesting connections between individuals known as groomers and minors. Switzerland is taking steps to prohibit the physical punishment of children.
Governor Newsom has indicated his openness to collaborating with President Trump on a proposed $7.5 billion federal tax credit aimed at supporting the U.S. entertainment industry. The White House has stated that no definitive decisions have been reached regarding movie tariffs, as they continue to consider all available options. Ford has announced that tariffs are expected to result in a $1.5 billion financial burden for the company by the year 2025. Furthermore, Mattel, the company behind Barbie, has revealed plans to increase product prices due to the impact of Trump's tariffs. Uber has collaborated with China's Pony AI to introduce self-driving taxis in a significant market located in the Middle East. Tesla is advancing its LiDAR-free self-driving technology in China while awaiting approval for its full self-driving (FSD) system from Beijing. Waymo has set a goal to increase the production of its robot Axis at its Arizona facility by doubling the output by the conclusion of 2026.
In April, Xbox games dominated the PlayStation Store, occupying the top 3 spots in sales. Minecraft has announced the end of its VR support. In the tech sector, Seagate anticipates a significant increase in hard drive capacity, predicting a tripling by 2030 due to the rising demand for AI. Across the pond, Deliveroo has reached an agreement for a £2.9 billion acquisition by its American competitor, DoorDash.
During a meeting in the Oval Office with President Trump, Canadian Prime Minister Carney firmly stated that Canada is not for sale, it won't be for sale, ever. In response, Trump remarked, "Never say never." Bloomberg reported on this encounter, highlighting Carney's attempt to engage Trump through discussions about real estate. Britain and India have reached a £5 billion free trade agreement, which includes provisions for visas and tariffs on products such as cars, textiles, and whiskey. CNN noted that the first vessels transporting Chinese goods, subject to 145% tariffs, have arrived in Los Angeles, but they are only half full, raising concerns about potential shortages.
The Trump administration plans to withhold wages from 5.3 million individuals who have defaulted on their student loans this upcoming summer. According to CNBC, the impact of Trump's trade tariffs has expanded to encompass nearly all exports from the United States, as indicated by supply chain data. Purchasing a home in the United States now necessitates an additional $50,000 in annual income compared to renting.
India launched military actions against Pakistan in response to the murder of tourists, while Pakistan claims that Indian aircraft were shot down. The International Monetary Fund's April outlook anticipates that India will rise to the position of the fourth largest economy by the year 2025. A recent report indicates that India's film, television, and streaming sectors generated a total revenue of 1.1 trillion Indian rupees during the fiscal year 2024.
Denzel Washington and Spike Lee collaborate for the 5th occasion in Apple's chic new crime thriller. Apple TV Plus renews the studio for a 2nd season. Google introduces a film production project aiming to offer a positive perspective on technology, contrasting with Black Mirror. Sotheby's abruptly stopped a planned auction of Buddha relics in Hong Kong following India's intervention. The New York Times secured 4 Pulitzer Prizes, while The New Yorker received 3. The Washington Post was awarded for its reporting on the Trump shooting incident and its editorial cartoons. The Baltimore Banner earned a Pulitzer Prize for its coverage of the overdose crisis. A ship from the World War II era sank unexpectedly before it could be used as a target in military exercises conducted by the U.S. and the Philippines. Trump minimizes importance of trade talks. official trade discussions in Switzerland following a series of tariff impositions, with Trump administration officials Bessent and Greer scheduled to engage with their Chinese counterparts on matters related to trade and the economy. Analysts suggest that the recent rise in Taiwan's currency serves as a warning shot regarding the potential de-dollarization in Asia. The U.S. commodities regulator is considering withdrawing its appeal regarding Kalshi's election betting offers. Data indicates that 58 cryptocurrency wallets have profited significantly from Trump's meme coin, while 764,000 have incurred losses. Senate Democrats are opposing a crypto bill, partly due to criticism of Trump's connections to the industry. Traders earned $100 million by purchasing Melania Trump's meme coin before its release. Axios has reported that Democrats are focusing on the Trump family's cryptocurrency ventures. Just 2 days prior, it was announced that Democrats are urging an investigation into a Trump family cryptocurrency deal, suspecting potential foreign influence.
The Trump administration has requested a court to dismiss a lawsuit that limits access to an abortion medication.
Tuvalu celebrates a significant milestone with the introduction of its first automated teller machines.
The FDA has selected a critic of COVID booster shots to become the new head of its vaccines division. The Washington Post has announced that, following Trump's recommendation, the USPS board plans to appoint a FedEx executive as the new Postmaster General. The Trump administration has declared that it will prevent Harvard from obtaining any future grants. A scathing report has concluded that the FBI mishandled the investigation into the 2017 congressional baseball shooting, minimizing the gunman's anti-Republican motivations. In a significant development in the United States, the DEA has executed the largest fentanyl seizure in its history, capturing over 400 kilograms in an unprecedented operation. A declassified memo reveals that U.S. spies